Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Round Lake Area School District Board of Education on June the 2nd, 2025 at 6:54 p.m. in the Round Lake High School Media Center. If I can get started first with a roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Here.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Here.
Mr. Jewett?
Here.
Mrs. Larson?
Here.
Mr. Francisco?
Here.
Miss Lee?
Here.
Mrs. Klingler?
Here.
All right, first up is our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And first up, if I can get a motion to approve the meeting agenda as posted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Ms. Larson. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries. We have an approved agenda. And first up on that is our special recognition and presentations, and it is Dr. Apgar kicking us off tonight.
Good evening. Thank you to Dr. Mendoza and the Board of Education for allowing us to come this evening to share an award that was recently received by Ben Martinez Castro. So with me this evening is Ms. Abby Vraney. Ms. Vraney is a speech pathologist with the school district, and she is also the assistive technology liaison. So she recently came to me and she said, Dr. Apgar, do you think we can share Ben's award with the Board of Education? And I said, we absolutely can. So thank you to Ms. Vraney for being here this evening, and I'm going to turn this presentation over to her.
Letting me be here today, and I got Ben and his parents over there. I was going to wing this, but I decided to write something out because I'm pretty nervous, so I'm just going to get started by saying before I share about Ben's award, I just want to say that if anyone ever wants more information about assistive technology, AAC, or anything, you can come find me and I'd talk your ear off about it. So just wanted to let you know. I love sharing our student successes and what we're doing in the area of assistive technology in the district. I thought I'd give a little background about assistive technology. It refers to any item, device, or system that supports individuals with or without disabilities in communicating, learning, and functioning more independently. For many, it's the key to unlocking a truly inclusive education and a meaningful life beyond the classroom. One powerful component of assistive technology is augmentative and alternative communication, AAC, communication device, which is what Ben won his award for using so well in the classroom. AAC gives voices to non-speaking and minimally speaking students. The tools open the door to learning, relationships, and independence. Without AAC, students may be misunderstood or underestimated, but with the right supports in place, they can thrive, connect, and advocate for themselves. We've really shifted in our district to a more technology-based way to support communication for our non-speaking students, and it's really exciting and moving and building capacity to do so for everyone throughout the district. One remarkable example of this is Ben, a preschool student who has exceeded the expectations by learning and using his device with incredible success. His growth and determination led us to nominate him for the Infinitec Outstanding AAC User Award. From a large group of nominees, Ben was selected, and the award ceremony took place in April. His entire team proudly attended to celebrate his achievements in an inclusive ceremony awards night at a banquet hall. So we're excited to share a presentation with a few pictures and videos highlighting Ben's journey that is a powerful reminder of what is possible when every student has a voice. So this is a little write-up. I can share this with you all later if you want to read the little write-up that I wrote. Here are some pictures of Ben's family and his team on the awards night. There's Ben with his mom receiving the award and the agenda from the night of the awards. There were 11 winners from all over northern Illinois, Lake and Cook County. Those are the pictures of all the winners. Ben was the youngest, and here's the video that the Infinitec Coalition made to honor Ben that they played the night of the award ceremony. It should be making sound, I think. Okay. Please, when we're talking about technology. There we go.
School District 116, which is supported by Special Education District of Lake County. Let's cheer for Ben, a bright, curious, and determined 5-year-old whose journey with Augmentative Alternative Communication, AAC, has unlocked a world of communication and connection. Ben used to be considered a non-speaking student who relied on behaviors to express himself. Ever since he received his iPad with LabWord for Life, Spanish and English full vocabulary, Ben has surpassed all expectations, mastering his device in ways that continue to amaze his teachers, therapists, and family. With AAC, Ben communicates for a wide range of purposes. He greets staff with a cheerful hello as he enters the building, requests hugs from his favorite people, sings his favorite songs, and even lets others know when he's not interested in an activity. He is becoming fluent in both English and Spanish, and is able to seamlessly switch languages to communicate in both home and school. His passion for letters, colors, and numbers shines through as he spells words and alphabetizes most anything he can find. Before using AAC, Ben's teachers were unsure of how much his curriculum he understood. However, he is now demonstrating skills at and above grade level. He has shown that he can read, knows letters, names, and sounds, can list multiple words that begin with each letter, count to high numbers, and understand quantities, along with many other impressive skills. Ben's enthusiasm for learning and communication make him a true role model for his classroom and at home. He leads by example, following routines, engaging in lessons, and encouraging his peers and younger siblings, one of whom uses the same AAC device. Seeing Ben communicate so effectively has inspired staff to embrace AAC more confidently, creating a more inclusive and communicative environment for all students. From requesting snacks and toys to answering academic questions and participating in whole class activities, Ben's AAC device has empowered him to share his knowledge and interact meaningfully with the world around him. His curiosity, kindness, and love of learning are truly remarkable. Ben's team is thrilled to celebrate his accomplishments as he receives this Infinitec Technology Award. Congratulations, Ben.
So Ben even has a fan club here this evening, including his principal, Ms. Lind. But we wanted to make sure that we brought Ben's award to your attention and wanted to share that with you this evening.
All right, next up, we have our Change Club 2025 Above and Beyond Award presentation. Someone from the Exchange Club. There we are.
Thank you. My name is Dan Birch. I'm with the Round Lake Park Police Department, with the Round Lake Area Exchange Club. And on behalf of the Round Lake Area Exchange Club and the Above and Beyond Awards Committee, we'd like to recognize one of our awardees for the 7th Annual Above and Beyond Award Program. The Round Lake Area Exchange Club believes we need to recognize their outstanding efforts for our first responders, public safety personnel, school district staff, and students each and every year for their efforts going above and beyond for our communities. The awardees are recognized for outstanding acts of character, commitment, compassion to both their profession and to the community. These awards are unique in their criteria relating to one or more of the Round Lake Area Exchange Club's programs of service, including Americanism, youth programs, community service, or the prevention of child abuse. The Round Lake Area Exchange Club has been partnering with first responder, public safety, school districts, as well as so many other stakeholders in the Round Lake area for over 25 years. I think we're coming into 27 years now. We are proud of the positive impacts we have made together, and it is in this spirit that we would like to recognize Round Lake Area School District's 116 educator and leader. This nomination came from the Round Lake Area School Superintendent as well as the Deputy Superintendent. And so at this point, I'd like to, if Chrissy Gatlin is present, you can come up, please. So this nomination, it states, it is with great pride and deep respect that we nominate Chrissy Gatlin for the 2025 Above and Beyond Award. It is dedicated, as a dedicated educator and leader, Chrissy has exemplified exceptional commitment, service, and integrity throughout her 24 years of teaching in the Round Lake Area School District. Her impact extends far beyond the classroom through her 15 years of service as President of Education Association of Round Lake. In today's educational climate, marketed by heightened demands, societal pressures, and evolving expectations, Chrissy remains a steady, passionate force for good. She understands firsthand the challenges educators face and meets them with empathy, resolve, and action. As a teacher and union leader, Chrissy advocates for fair treatment, professional respect, and the resources staff need to thrive, not just survive. Chrissy has played a key role in launching and supporting district-wide initiatives focused on improving staff experiences and overall climate. Whether through collaborative labor management work groups, wellness programs, or transparent communication efforts, she helps foster a culture where staff feel heard, supported, and empowered. She champions solutions, builds trust, and ensures that teachers and support staff are valued as professionals and as people. Chrissy's career reflects the very heart of what it means to go above and beyond. She is a passionate advocate for students, a trusted voice for staff, and a tireless partner in fostering a thriving school community. Her leadership is grounded in doing what is best for the children and educators alike, never hesitating to stand up for equity, opportunity, and respect. I wholeheartedly commend Chrissy Gatlin for this honor. She embodies the values that strengthen our schools, our communities, and our future.
Next up, Ms. Kirk.
Just really before we start, couple comments regarding this presentation, one after. Both Dr. Steffen and Ms. Kurtz are going to just be presenting some high-level information that we really think the board should see, especially going into our strategic plan wrap-up, which you're going to be seeing a lot of data. I think Ms. Kurtz on this first presentation has done an amazing job of digging in. Illinois is changing the assessment system again. But I think for the first time, I think this is, how long was the webinar that you saw, like 94 slides or something like that? Yeah. So basically she took it and condensed it into this, which is really easy to understand. She presented it to cabinet. When I saw it, I thought really the board needed to see it, as is the same with Dr. Steffen, will be coming up next. Just, providing context where you're going to be moving forward. So thank you, Ms. Kurtz.
Good evening. As Dr. Mendoza shared, there are some important updates coming from the Illinois State Board of Education regarding the assessment redesign and the system of accountability. ISB and Dr. Sanders at the state level have a desire to change the assessment and accountability design. They want every school engaged in cycles of continuous improvement regardless of their designation. At the state level, there are 3 parts to school improvement: student assessment, accountability, and then the statewide system of supports. The current challenges that are observed in the current systems of assessment, and then again with accountability. First, the performance levels for state testing on IAR, ISA, and ACT have restrictive cut scores, which we will get into, and those cut scores often mislabel students who are actually on track for college and career readiness, and they are often labeled as not proficient. In the accountability system, which provides our summative designations every year, the current system is not criterion-based. It's modeled after a bell curve, which means that the goalpost moves every year. Next, there's misleading data. Approximately 70% of schools are rated commendable, which prevents the state from providing resources to those that need the most support. Lastly, the system also tells you that there's a problem, but it might not often offer solutions that are specific or strategies that can allow you to make improvements.
Just so the board remembers, these are the school ratings, right? The index scores: exemplary, commendable, needs improvement, etc.
So when looking at how to improve these areas, the state is looking for, again, a 3-part solution in the areas of student assessment, accountability, and the statewide system of supports that they provide. Within the student assessment portion, they're looking to create new performance level descriptors and proficiency benchmarks. Within the accountability system, they would like to realign designations to give clearer expectations to schools so that way you can take a deeper look at your performance. And within the statewide system of supports, they are looking to deploy continuous improvement models for all schools through the regional offices of education. We entered, if you'll recall from the fall, into a continuous improvement model with our 3-year school improvement plans. First, I'll share some information with you regarding the performance level descriptors. This is a visual from the National Assessment of Educational Progress. This is a research conducted by the United States Department of Education. This is an example of 4th grade math proficiency levels. So what the NAEP does, the National Assessment of Educational Progress, they take all states' state testings, and then they align them on a scale or the graph that you see, and they rank how difficult the proficiencies are for every state. If you'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, Illinois has the highest proficiency levels out of all of the states. So that's why Illinois is looking to update our performance level descriptors, as currently what we expect proficiency to be is higher than every other state in the country. This is an example of how we have the same high standards. We're looking to have the same high standards, but re-look at the proficiency benchmarks to make them right-sized and more along the playing field of the other states. So an example of new performance or how students are mislabeled as not proficient in our state. Here's an example of a student who was enrolled at ISU. They were a double major in history and special education. Their GPA in high school was 3.6. They were a part of AP courses, dual credit courses. They had work-based learning, industry certifications. They were active in the school, participating in swimming and diving, DECA, Educators Rising. When they took the state assessment, they were mislabeled as not proficient because of our standards. So in English language arts, the student received a 460, which would be considered not proficient. And in math, the student was mislabeled as a 440, which according to our current cut scores would also be not proficient.
And I think this slide is missing from the deck. So that's fine. I just wanted to call it out. Just give the board a second to take a look at the graph up there. Casey, can you just provide a summary again, just briefly, that despite everything, in the first 4 bullets, they're rated not proficient, correct?
That's correct, yep. So according to, when we look perspective at the student's overall academic career in high school and that they're currently enrolled at ISU double majoring, to state testing standards, the student was mislabeled as not proficient according to cut scores. And I can reshare the deck with inclusive of this one. All right, so another way to look at the assessment of the problem of the high cut scores in Illinois mislabeling students who are actually on track for college and career readiness, you can see the example, we're looking at apples to oranges. So when we're looking at students who are proficient in Illinois, you can see below that little visual of a person that student might have proficiency in states like Connecticut or Florida, but they might not be in Illinois because of our scores. On the right-hand side, you can see that in Illinois, the top percentage, again, considering the National Assessment of Educational Progress, they're reporting proficiency at our highest level. We're only reporting out 39% of students, including level 4 and level 5 scores. But states like Connecticut and Florida are reporting out an achievement index using a scale score rather than performance levels. Or in Florida, they're using 56% of achievement versus our 39% of achievement. So there's varying proficiencies by states as well. So what is the state looking to do to correct this? So they are entering into work called standard setting right now. It is inclusive of experts across the state. They asked teachers, coaches, directors, different leaderships to apply and encourage participation in what's called standard setting. It is a new process occurring this summer to look at the performance level descriptors, look at and set new cut scores on state assessments based on the assessments that were just taken. So we just took IAR in March. They are looking to evaluate that assessment and create new cut scores to define what proficiency looks like in Illinois. They are using, again, the panel of educators to evaluate the difficulty of test items and redefine what those cut scores are. We did share that it was a rigorous application to participate in the standard setting, and I'm proud to share we have at least one member going. Ms. Kara Wilson is our secondary curriculum instruction specialist for math, and she will be participating in the standard setting for math this summer. They are also looking to expand the performance level descriptors to provide more clarity for general use outside of just educators. So when educators look at it, we are looking at the levels of mastery between skills. They're also looking to provide what proficiency looks like by domain for general use like parents or community members. That way it's easier to read what is considered proficient for my child in the state of Illinois versus just providing the standards and the cut scores. Here is the timeline the state has. So again, they did some listening sessions. They have currently released the second round of drafts of these performance level descriptors, which gives the different mastery levels. And then the work is happening this summer to provide the standard setting. And then we typically have our IAR scores in late spring, but we will not have or understand what the new proficient looks like until September or October, once those standard setting occurs and is passed by the state board. Before I jump into accountability, do you have any questions regarding the performance level descriptors?
I have a question more around how would changing the standards within the state actually affect the overall ecosystem nationwide? Because it seems like if you're changing you're changing it within the state, it doesn't actually change. You understand what I'm saying? If your standards are high, I think that's kind of a fantastic thing on one hand, because it continues to keep the standards high, theoretically.
I think to Mr. Joe's point, yeah, I had kind of the same question. If we're looking to expand it because we're so high on it, where does it leave other states to possibly do the same thing, kind of like the Florida exception of adding an extra band so that all of a sudden now their kids look like they're there and we've kind of diluted that pool, so to speak.
Because it's not standardizing across the nation, is it?
So I should clarify, they're not actually changing the standards, they're changing the cut scores. So what we consider proficient at our state level is higher expectations than everybody else. They're looking to align us a little bit better with where everybody else is to even the playing field. I can't say whether other states will change that. It seems as though everyone's been fairly consistent across the board based on the national assessment that's been done.
The one area you would be able to see it the easiest is at the high school level because ACT is given nationally, right? The Illinois Assessment of Readiness, which is our K-8 assessment, that's not the same assessment given in Indiana or Kentucky or whatever. So I think the best barometer would be to look at ACT, SAT, if you want to look at the nationwide, or look at actual NAEP and see how the kids did with their index scores. Is that fair, Ms. Kurtz?
It is fair. And if I go back a couple slides, you can see on the NAEP, there is where you see that line underneath a bunch of different states. That's actually a consortium that utilizes the same state assessment. So there are states that are aligned and do take the same state assessment to benchmark their students.
Yeah, and the only, and again, this isn't good or bad. If my memory is correct, you're going to know this. We do get contacted every year or every other year, and we have to give the NAEP, but it's to a very small group of kids, correct?
That is correct.
How many kids end up taking it here?
It's usually one grade level in one of the buildings. So Village was up for potentially taking it this past year, but it would have only been for 4th grade, and they ended up not getting selected. The year prior, I believe 11th grade at the high school was selected to participate.
The one thing I was going to call out too, in specific to what Dr. Mendoza was talking about, is when you think about SAT or ACT, they set a college readiness benchmark. And our current SAT benchmark, because we were on the SAT, was higher than that. And that is not common when you look at these other states. People typically would just take, okay, the SAT says this is college ready. That's our state proficiency benchmark. And we went higher than that. So that is, I think, a piece to consider here as well, that we went above what the expectation was with the standardized test that is given. Nationally, I know SAT isn't the test for every state, but it's very, very common.
The other last thing, and Casey, we're not trying to take over your presentation. I just met with 3 students who were participating in Mr. Barnshaw's civics class. The same issue exists with the access test. And we had 3 students who are graduating with honors. 2 are going to be teachers, maybe all 3 were going to be teachers. They couldn't test out of, not that it's bad, but they could not test out of access as graduating seniors. And these are some of the kids that, if you were at honors night, received numerous scholarships, both from the university as well as local organizations. And the way the access test is structured, and Lisa, please correct me if I'm wrong, is it's not as if you can pass 2 of the sections and then you have to only retake the 2 that you didn't pass. You have to redo the whole thing if you don't pass all of them. So it's the same issue with access. Now, access is given by many, many states. Am I correct?
Yes. So
That one's much more common across the country.
I'm trying to get my head around this. So, and how I think about this is like, in our house, we do it like this, and I don't care if everybody else's kids act like this, right? So it seems like, if I got this right, this is like a household management issue. And we're trying to get the household, we're changing how the household is managing, how it is grading whether it's proficient or not. Because it really doesn't affect how the household and the students are interacting outside of the household, correct?
Yeah, I mean, your ACT is your ACT score, so a college might say that a 22 is good enough, but the state of Illinois would say it isn't. So you're correct that your ACT score could fall wherever the college is okay with it, but the state of Illinois has to set this benchmark in the accountability system, and they're just looking at, you know, reflecting on, we set it above what the college readiness score was, and now we're seeing what kind of the results of that. So they're looking to reset that. Yes, that made sense.
How does that come into play then if you're an out-of-state student looking to apply to one of our in-state schools like Champaign, et cetera, et cetera?
This is only a measurement for the public high schools. So like the U of I is gonna have a criteria, Northern is gonna have criteria, and they're gonna look at the ACT, but it doesn't impact this in any way. We just wanna make sure that whatever the state is deciding, we look at that, but we also look at what is ACT telling us about what's college ready, and that would be the goal, obviously, for kids to reach that mark.
Okay, so now I will give a brief update on the redesigning of the accountability system. So again, the problems within the current accountability system is that it's not criterion based, it's based on a bell curve, moving the goalpost every year based on how everybody performs. The data reports that 70% of schools in Illinois are rated as commendable, which prevents resources from going where they're needing to be allocated. And it tells us that there's a problem, but it doesn't give us specific strategies or supports that would be helpful to fix or change those problems. There is some factors within or requirements within the accountability system redesign. There has to be a single accountability system in the state. It has to comply with the Every Student Succeeds requirements, which I'll go over. It has to address the accountability problems of practice, and it has to retain features of the current system that appear to be working. Every Student Succeeds Act requires that there are measures or indicators that are aligned to student achievement, academics, graduation rate, English language proficiency, and there are student quality success indicators involved as well. Every indicator has to be valid and reliable. It has to be consistent within a grade span. So like we had reported out, our K2 buildings will still receive summative designations, even though they don't take state assessments. That's part of why. It has to be comparable and collected statewide, measured annually every year for students, and then you have to be able to discern it by student group and allow for differentiation in school performance throughout the state. The questions asked during this redesign process was how can we minimize ranking schools? Currently, when you're in a specific percentage of students or schools, you will be in the exemplary category or at the bottom, the intensive category, and it's all based on ranking. Where you fall is yes, based on your performance, but then where you fall within the other school rankings within the state. That's how we receive our summative designations. How can clearer performance criteria be set for each designation? How can data outside of just benchmark data be incorporated into school improvement? Because there's a lot of good things happening in schools within districts within the state that aren't incorporated into the accountability system. And how can the system remain or become easier to understand and explain to those who don't regularly utilize it? So the timeline to redo this system is kind of just beginning. They've done listening sessions throughout the state. They will have to propose any new accountability system they choose, and then they're looking to roll this out in October of next year of 2026. 3 options that the state is currently looking at to change the accountability system are a decision tree, a performance profile, and a simple index. The simple index, I believe, is last in line for the options that they would like to use because they are looking at options without rankings. However, the simple index would still create a place where ranking is possible, and they would look to create score clusters which couldn't be further ranked, so it would almost be like benchmarks, and those wouldn't move. So there would be an initial system with ranking, but then they wouldn't move them from there. So the top part of this chart is where they are looking to define what could possibly be incorporated into the accountability system that aren't indicators. So at the top, you see the graph that we typically get with our designations that includes the index scores and the cut scores that every school gets already. But then they're looking to describe patterns of performance and put them in context. More like this, we see this happening in your data, and here's some reasons why it could be happening, or giving questions or posing questions that would help schools reflect on their data and why it is the way it is. When ISB was going through this webinar, they provided this example, how it's difficult to design an accountability system that suits everybody. Part of the difficulty or challenge is that the definition or perception of good performance changes based on the context. So there's 4 examples that the state provided below, which are 4 different schools, and they asked us to just reflect on our own about whether we would rate these schools as exemplary, commendable, approaching, targeted, or comprehensive. So you can see the differences between the schools. Some schools have a lot of extracurriculars. They might have higher absenteeism. Their proficiency might be higher or lower. And they asked us how we would decide which one would fall into what category based on what we were observing from the schools. It was actually a really interesting activity if you're into that. So again, they're looking to do this redesign within this next school year to roll it out for not this coming year, but not this coming fall, but the fall after. And that is a condensed version of the updates from ISB. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
More to come on this. So, and the other thing is, no matter what happens, the changes are all relative. So if they help us, they're going to help everybody else. So, in the end, we just need to keep our eye on the prize and keep focusing on good instruction and what our teachers are doing in classrooms. So, Casey was very good. Thank you.
Now we'll transition right to Dr. Steffen.
Good evening. I'm here this evening, kind of as Dr. Mendoza had mentioned, to just give you an update specifically around the first goal of the strategic plan involving curriculum implementation at the elementary level. I felt like it was really important to give you a little bit of results on kind of what we were doing throughout the school year to keep an eye on this, and be, I like to call it boots on the ground, and very connected to the experience for the teachers. So in just a real quick review, goal number 1 for the strategic plan was the implementation for kindergarten through 5th grade in regards to math, English language arts, or ELA, Spanish language arts, which is SLA in our world, and then social emotional learning, which is SEL. And we had 2 strategies here that helped us stay connected to the success of the particular goal. First off, we just wanted to see a successful implementation. So how that was defined, we'll show you some metrics moving into the presentation on that. And then the second goal was really, what is the system that we're using to stay on top of and stay connected to supporting staff and having a model in place as they were working to implement the curriculum. So first off, in regards to the monitoring piece, we partnered with Hanover Research, which I know you've all seen before in regards to our climate and culture survey that we do every year. We partnered with them to create an elementary curriculum implementation survey. This is something that they do nationwide. So they had samples for me to take a look at with my team and kind of get an idea of what was the information that we felt was important. We administered this survey in late winter. It was like end of February, early March. So we were close to the end of the year, but we knew we wanted to do the culture and climate survey, so we didn't want to do them too close together. And the survey was administered online to all of our kindergarten through 5th grade teachers that taught math, English language arts, Spanish language arts, and special education and multilingual resource teachers as well also participated. So that was the kind of the outside, I would say, provider that helped us get kind of a snapshot of how the process was going. But then we, throughout the school school year on the daily, had a couple of other pieces in place that you see on this slide. We created at the start of the school year a curriculum feedback form. We did ask staff to fill that out once a week in PLCs. That was really utilized a lot at the beginning of the year, and we did start to see that fall off. We didn't consider that a bad thing because the other pieces were in place. Between our curriculum and instruction specialists, coordinators, and directors in teaching and learning, we were regularly attending PLCs, sitting with teachers, maybe getting emails, being invited into their PLCs, coming into their classrooms to provide them with levels of support. So we felt really connected, and that we found actually that was a better way than looking at just a form and getting their kind of feeling on it. But it was important we had that in place to start. And then the other two pieces are the school improvement days. We had a significant amount of professional development solely focused on the curriculum that we were delivering as a TNL team in partnership with some of the vendors. And then obviously we were also in classrooms as well as our building administrators to just kind of keep an eye on things and see how the implementation was going. So to review some of the statistics, there was also attached in the board packet a infographic that Hanover had provided. So I'm not going to go into every single thing on there. I just pulled a couple of key pieces out of the data from the survey. So when we looked at the English and Spanish language arts curriculum, these two particular snapshots give us an idea of the overall satisfaction from staff. So when you're looking on the left-hand side there at the ELA or English language arts curriculum implementation, we had the greatest level of success with our monolingual classroom teachers, and then also special education resource teachers, which are our special ed teachers that push into these monolingual classrooms. They do also push into dual language classrooms. So when we look at the data there on dual language and special education, they definitely are quite a bit lower. The good news is I could tell you exactly why. Dual language classrooms, we had a lot for them this year, and we focused all of their PD on math and Spanish language arts because Spanish is their literacy block. Their English instruction was delivered through other content areas like math, science, or social studies. So they did not get a lot of professional development on that ELA side, just knowing we really had to focus this year on SLA and math. We have plans that I'll show you in upcoming slides to address that and support them with their needs on the English curriculum as well. And special education classroom teachers, the benchmark curriculum does not come with an alternate pacing where they prioritize particular key strategies or important strategies or standards. And we did our best last summer to develop pieces for those teachers, but it really was something where we had to live it and learn with them. So our ELA, Sarah Fontana, and then Katie Wishaw have spent a lot of time with our instructional special education teachers, really diving into exactly what did we need to do to modify the curriculum to support those classrooms. So again, I'm not surprised by that data. We were already diving into that work, but we did even more in fourth quarter to support them for the next school year. And then when we look over on the right at the SLA data, again, a 65% feeling like a level of success and satisfied with the implementation from our dual language teachers. But those lower numbers at 41 and 37 also don't surprise me they talk about the ability to differentiate the curriculum and then how easy is it for them to do that. And I really think there's two key factors here. Number one, it's a brand new curriculum. So feeling like anything is easy or super accessible, I think is always going to be challenging in year one. But I also want to give a little bit of credit to the teachers that teaching reading and writing is certainly not easy. It's a pretty detailed science, and there's a lot that goes into it. So learning how to do the curriculum that meets the needs, and starts at that tier 1 all student level, and then figuring out how to take those resources and individualize them, I think is something teachers will get better and better at every year. But it's certainly something we know that we need to layer on a level of support for as well. So then when we look at the math and social emotional learning data, these particular slides were focused a little bit more on the student experience and how teachers felt that impacted students. So when you look at the math data, you're looking at overall academic performance, student motivation, and student confidence in math. I was excited actually to see that we saw really high numbers here with dual language. It doesn't surprise me because out of every product that I looked at in the last 2 years, years, iReady by far blew everybody out of the water with language supports. Every single page of the teacher's guide gives you a strategy on how to make it more accessible as far as the language acquisition piece of it. So I am not surprised the dual teachers felt like finally someone that paid attention to us. So I thought that was exciting to see, but there's also some good success there with monolingual classroom teachers and then improvement to be made in special education, like I mentioned, as far as supporting those small group classrooms and supporting those teachers. When you move to second step, they pulled out a couple of key competencies in social emotional learning with empathy, kindness, growth mindset, emotion management, and problem solving. And you see a pretty high success rate there. They felt that it definitely helped students in those particular competencies. So again, those past two slides were a focus on some of the key pieces I pulled out of that infographic from Hanover. So now the next step is, what are we doing? How are we modifying things? How are we paying attention to the feedback in the effort to support the teachers? So this slide here focuses on our language arts curriculum. You'll notice that the first 3 bullet points, both in ELA and SLA, are the same, that we're looking at some modified pacing based on teacher feedback, adding some additional writing supports. Teachers really felt like the writing was not rigorous enough, which is awesome that they feel that way. So we helped step it up for them. And then the assessments were adding all the assessments into Canvas, so it's easier for teachers to administer and they don't have all the pen and paper. So that I think will be, we did some piloting of that and some real positive feedback from teachers. A couple other key things in ELA. At the primary grades, we're going to modify the phonics instruction and beef it up a little bit. We didn't feel like the benchmark curriculum had quite enough phonics support, so we're adding in there based on teacher feedback what they'd like to see there. We're adding more instructional minutes at 4th and 5th grade, and then continuing to modify to support the special education instructional classrooms. And then over on the dual language side with Spanish language arts, we modified our content language allocation plan. And I know that's a big, confusing, long word, but or long phrase. What that means is basically what subjects are we teaching in English and which ones are we teaching in Spanish? And like I mentioned, our English language instruction was only being delivered in the past through other content areas. And the teachers and our partnership with the outside vendor we work with, who actually has the same name, Adelante, but different company, they all have advised, the teachers and our provider have said, we really need to be having English language development and Spanish language development literacy on both sides in dual. So we have modified it to make sure that that is happening. So we'll be able to kind of beef up the support for the dual teachers in regards to the ELA curriculum, because they'll have more dedicated time to use that resource. So then modifications that we're providing in math. Also, I actually just ended the school year for 2 days sitting in a PLC with Katie Wishaw, our math coordinator, to look at with instructional teachers and went over the modified pacing that Katie and her team have created, as well as modified resources. The teachers were really excited to see improvements there. We're also increasing instructional minutes in math in 4th and 5th grade here. And then the final piece is a really big one for our dual language classrooms. We were finding that our dual instruction in math would either be in English or in Spanish, pending the grade level. And the challenge there is they have to take the IAR in English, no matter what. And we don't have any bilingual math interventionists. So if their math instruction was in Spanish, but they were struggling and needed support, we would send them to a math interventionist, but they didn't speak Spanish. So there was a gap there in maybe some of the math language that they were not yet introduced to in English. So what we've done with, again, the content language allocation plan is made sure there is a block of time in the schedule where math is taught in English, and then a separate block where it is reinforced in Spanish to make sure they're introduced to math in both languages. So that one was initially with teachers, they were a little nervous because that means every dual teacher is teaching math. and some of them haven't taught math for a while, but iReady, again, saves the day with some just amazing resources with reports and things that help teachers with, activities, lessons, reporting on student achievement. So it's really, really helpful. And we ended the year with our dual teachers being really excited about that math piece. And then finally with SEL this year, because there was so much new curriculum, we did not tell the teachers that SEL had to be done at like a specific time of the day, that they could embed it wherever it naturally fit. Not necessarily a surprise to me, but that meant I don't feel that it was implemented enough or as regularly. So next year there will be a dedicated time in the elementary schedule to make sure they're using that consistently. And that was kind of the feedback we heard from teachers is like, yeah, we tried to pull it, but like when it's not written down, this is when you do it, they just would get lost, obviously, in the lift of the math and language arts curriculum. And then the other piece, we're going to layer on a little bit more PD for SEL. And then finally, we are starting the school year with an alternate schedule focused on like school-wide assemblies or grade level assemblies to just review school-wide expectations, especially the primary level or kindergartners, they've never done school before, many of them. So it's just really important to start the school year off on the right foot. So those are the different modifications based on staff feedback that we will make. And because our job is constant improvement in curriculum, we got more to come for next year. So I appreciate, you've seen many of these come through meetings and approved them along the way. Next year, we are very excited. Kindergarten, the state recently implemented some legislation around requiring what they label as developmentally appropriate practice. To me, not having been a kindergarten teacher, that means we're integrating more play into the day, which I think is fabulous. There's all kinds of things that kids learn through play, but it's important to note it's not recess, like free-for-all play. It is very guided and directed based on what the standards are and the things you want kids to learn, and we're doing that through our current social studies curriculum, so there should be lots of fun stuff to come. The teachers have been very excited. We partner with ISB on that training. We have a coach through the state that comes in, and we've done, I think, 3 sessions with teachers now, and we just did one with all the building administrators. So it's an exciting move for us in kindergarten. Middle school is the heavy lift, as you can see next year, with several curriculum adoptions there, and then just a couple coming our way at high school. But we will continue the same goal of monitoring curriculum and the implementation process going into next year, but it will be different curriculum for next year. So that any questions at all?
I just, real quick for the board, just one gentle reminder. These curriculum areas we had high levels of teacher collaboration in their selection. I want to compliment Dr. Steffen. I think more than any time I can remember in 12, 13 years. I think we've done it before, but we're regularly asking teachers what they want and more importantly, what they need. I think you've probably, if you look at the climate culture stuff Ms. Bennett has done with some of the stuff Dr. Steffen has done, we're asking our teachers and we're collecting the data and we're making adjustments. So this process that she just explained, this is never going to end. It's what do you need? How's it going? What can we do to help you and how can we make it better? We adjust and then we ask them again the very next year and over and over and over and over. Part of why we went to the purchased curriculum, like it's not part of why, it's why, is teachers said that's what they wanted. That if you remember, very difficult time, work, home balance, the job is harder. So we were almost giving teachers too much choice in terms of lesson design. And so again, I just want to compliment, because I just feel like when you ask people how they feel, we shouldn't be doing that unless we're going to respond. So if we don't want to hear the answers, we shouldn't be asking. So I want to compliment Dr. Steffen and the team with asking what teachers, how they're feeling, what they need. So thank you.
So I went through the 2-pager.
Yeah.
It was included and loved it. The one question I had, and I think you answered the question, but on the SEL second step, it talks about the response. It's like the 16% that they said that they received the training Response agreed they received sufficient training. I was assuming is that they needed the enhanced training because that was more about the clarity of when it was implementation. Are those two things connected?
Yes, we did training about a year ago, I guess I would say. It was probably like in May, maybe even earlier than that, in April on SEL in advance of the school year. So that was their first introduction of getting the platform, and that was, and it's all digital. It's much, I don't want to say it's easier. Everything is not easy to teach, but it's not like literacy curriculum where you're going through a million different things. It's here's your lesson of the week. Here's a couple of things you could do. So we introduced them to that in the fall. And then after that, it was all voluntary. We were available we did open PLC Zoom or team meetings, like come in if you have questions. And because there was so much going on with math and language arts, we weren't getting a lot of response. So I was not at all surprised. They're like, yeah, we didn't make you go. We offered things, but we had to balance how many other pieces were on the table. So that's why this year we've said, okay, we know we need to do more, but we had to balance it. So I think there is definitely a connection.
Which aligns with what you said in terms of it seems that there's a trend for needing more structure. So yeah.
Yes, it's a delicate balance between I'm overworked and I'm stressed and you're telling me to do too much and I don't know what to do. So exactly. So we were pretty rigid on math and language arts, but we felt like we had to kind of balance things with the SEL.
Additional questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you very much. All right, next up is review contracts less than 1,000. Looks like we only had the one with Lake County DOT for the Honor Society as a pickup on Rollins Road, which is always awesome. Any questions from the board? Hearing none there, we'll next go to opportunities for public comment. As always, members of the public can make comment at regular board meetings by attending in person or by submitting electronic public comment form. Please note that speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and electronic public comments are accepted up until noon on the day of the regularly scheduled meeting, and the public commenter is contacted to confirm identity. Once confirmed, electronic public comment is provided to all board members in written form. A link to the electronic public comment is found online. We did not have any electronic public comment for this meeting, and at this moment we don't have a public. So we will assume that there is no public comment, and we will next move to Dr. Mendoza and the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board President Francisco and School Board. Would like to congratulate graduate Zeltsin Cepeda Solis. I think we all remember who that is. She's been awarded the 2025 Lincoln Land District Youth of the Year Award. This award provides a scholarship of $2,500. Zeltsin will be recognized at the Lincoln Land Convention in Bloomington this week. I'd like to remind the board, summer programming kicked off today. There are a variety of program offerings this year which can be viewed on the district's website under 2 hot links, the 2 that you see on the report. Would like to sincerely thank all who were involved in the coordination of the middle and high school ceremonies last week. The facilities looked amazing and the coordination appeared flawless, and the weather was incredible. I brought the great weather. I know that the coordination is quite involved, and I greatly appreciate the attention to detail by the entire secondary teams. We'd like to congratulate our very own Liz Dam for her latest book release, Am I Cut Out for This? An Educator Leader's Guide to Navigating Self-Doubt. This inspiring and timely work offers valuable insight and support for those serving in school leadership roles. We are proud to celebrate this accomplishment and the meaningful impact Liz continues to have on the field of education. Congratulations, Liz. That concludes the superintendent's report. How many books is that? 3? 2? How about the book tour?
So we're going to have an open book tour. Cool. And then my follow-up question, Dr. Mendoza, is if you have so much control over the weather to have the great weather then what about all the bad weather ones? Why did you, so you intentionally went after those grades, correct?
Yeah, and the baseball signing. I brought good weather there too, right? Grand opening, rather, the groundbreaking, signing the groundbreaking.
Any additional questions for Dr. Mendoza? All right, hearing none, we will move now to Community Engagement Committee update, and Ms. Klingler.
Hello. Okay, we had a pretty light agenda this evening. The important to note item was I kind of swear it's currently our district uses Loomly for its social media management. There's a host of areas that Loomly is lacking. So the excuse me, the committee is kind of researching a new form for that. I kind of square has a couple of things that are offered that Loomly lacks, but there was just a little bit more recon needed in that relation to Icona Square that they're going to bring back to the finance committee actually, so we can report back on it later. But right now, it does kind of cover some of the issues that we have currently. They want to do a 1-year contract, so more information to come on that. But that's kind of what we're looking at currently. And then there was the informational snapshot. If you guys had any questions on that, there's a couple things to note on there on the calendar. But other than that, it was again pretty light agenda. That's essentially it.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you very much. And that'll take us to approval of open meeting minutes.
Need a motion to approve the May 19th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mrs. Klingler. Hearing no additional conversation, roll call please.
Mr. DeVera?
Abstain.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yeah.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2025 special board meeting expulsion hearing at 6 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Klingler, seconded by Ms. Lee. Roll call please.
Mr. DeVera?
Abstain.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Abstain.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2025 special board meeting expulsion hearing at 7 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, seconded by Mrs. Klingler. Roll call please.
Mr. DeVera?
Abstain.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Abstain.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
I need a motion to approve the consent agenda for the following items. The accounts payable report for $943,760.97. The June 2nd, 2025 employment report.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Larson, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call please.
Mr. DeVera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries. And that will bring us to the old business, which is just the formal adoption of the board member conference and attendance participation that we reviewed at prior meeting. Any additional conversation or questions in regards?
All right. I need a motion to approve the board member conference attendance and participation guidelines as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Francisco, seconded by Ms. Lee. Roll call please.
Mr. DeVera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
And the motion carries. And that will take us to new business and our staffing and position control. Dr. Schuth.
Good evening. This is just a reminder that we had brought this forward from the Finance Committee at the last board meeting, and this would be the evening where we finally approved the positions that were, excuse me, approved for anticipated posting. This would be for formalizing the postings.
Yeah, thank you. Dr. Shuth, as mentioned, this was at the last finance meeting. This is just the review of position changes, either need for mandates, and then just changes within the district.
Any additional questions from the board? Hearing none.
I need a motion to approve the personnel and staffing changes as presented for the 2025-2026 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Klingler, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries. And that takes us to the school bus trainer safety stipend and Dr. Lamping.
Yes, thank you. This is a request we are making as we've done more and more things to try to make our bus driver employment even more enticing. We are still struggling at getting the required number of bus drivers we need. In an effort with the ERL, the union, we have identified the ability that we could start training CDLs. We did our compliance with the state last year. We have purchased the materials. We are now want to use one of our existing drivers in between their morning and afternoon routes to help train CDL. This is very similar to what we did with Diego when he made the transition from school safety to mechanic. He went through this process, but we want to formalize it. This stipend will allow us to help support that effort.
Yes, this was brought to finance last year, and as you heard Dr. Lamping, again, this is to formalize efforts to essentially like grow our own as well and keep this in-house. So I think it's a very innovative way to strengthen our busing.
This individual would not only go through the online program with the individuals, but also do the behind the wheel and coach with our buses prior to going into the test lanes for their final certification.
So in essence, like from my corporate world in the insurance industry, we actually have the same thing where you don't necessarily have to have your license yet before you come in, and we'll work with you. We'll do the 40-hour classroom, help you with the testing and all of that, and then push you to take the test. And you've got to pass your test within X number of time, or else.
Correct, and because we know it's an investment to have people come on, there will be a contractual length of time that they have to stay with us. Or similar to tuition reimbursement, it'll be a payback by percentage. So if you leave within 1 year, it's 75%. If you leave within 2 years, it'll graduate down the longer they stay with us.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Need a motion to approve the stipend for the school bus trainer safety position in the amount of $4,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Jewett, seconded by Mrs. Klingler. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Dr. King.
Dr. King had to leave family emergency, so Dr. Shuth will be taking this one.
Well, at least it was an upgrade. There we go.
Pressure there. That's a lot of pressure. Thank you, board members. On behalf of Dr. King, this is just a reminder that this was brought to finance the last meeting in an effort to bring about the much needed data dashboard required to be able to make sure that we can get good information to our principals and our leadership teams within the school buildings, as well as other projects within the district that help us manage data correctly. So this is just formalizing that vote at this meeting.
And as Dr. Sheath mentioned, this was at finance. This has created dashboard through all the systems we use. Currently, we have also some other software that we use that we hope with the integration of Schoolalytics, we can get rid of some other programs. Obviously not right away, but there are other programs that we use like Tableau in the district that could maybe go away. But again, we need to, it's a slow rollout, but this would create a great data dashboard where everything could be integrated into. And this would be a 3-year contract.
Any additional questions?
I need a motion to approve a 3-year contract with Schoolalytics for $35,000.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Lee, second by Mrs. Klingler. Roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera?
Yep.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yep.
Mrs. Larson?
Yep.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
Motion carries. And that will take us to the Diligent Community Contract update. And Ms. Garcia.
Hello. So the current program that we use for the board agendas, right now we use board docs through Diligent, and it will not longer be available after July 1st. And that's why I am coming tonight asking for approval for a new program that they have created called Diligent Community, and it will be with the same company. I have been meeting with them, and I have been having webinars and asking multiple questions to make sure that it will be a program that will fit to what we need. And they do have everything that we'll continue to need to have the same level of excellence that we currently have. And the contract will have to start from July 1st and all the way through June 30th of 2026. And they will provide training for the new program because it will look different to what we are currently used to. And the training that they could provide is, they have live training. That one will be with other districts. It will not be just with us. Everybody from other districts that use the program will be joining to those trainings, and it is twice a week. They also provide self-training, which based on the feedback that they have received from the people that have joined the new program, it is very good. So a lot of people use the self-training option too. The timeline for this one to start, if it does get approved by the board tonight, we have a 90-day timeline, which for the first 30 to 35 days, it will be the transition time where Diligent will be migrating all the data that is currently in board docs. We will not have to do anything. They will do all the work in migrating all the data for us. After that, after the 30 to 35 days, that's when we will have access to the new website, the new program, and that will be for training. The next 60 days will be for training for us to get used to the new look and how to navigate the program and the website. And the cost for this will be $14,500 per year, and there will be an annual increase of 3%. And sorry, my apologies. Thank you, Dr. Mendoza. 5%. Sorry, it is a 5% increase annually, and after reviewing everything, my recommendation will be that if the board to after reviewing, if they could approve it, that with the contract with the Diligent Community for July 1st, 2025 to June 30, 2026.
And this was presented at finance at the last meeting. And I think I mentioned that I actually saw a tutorial of this when I was in Austin at one of our conferences, and it actually looks really good. You could do the live training as Ms. Garcia mentioned, but they also have self-tutorial videos that you could do that I think would be sufficient for it all, if not most. Also, it does offer meeting alerts that we can let the community know so that they can sign up for, which I think would be nice for the community who want to sign up for meeting alerts so that they know. But obviously board books, board docs is going away, so we need to transition. But there are obviously some great features that come with it.
And I've used it through my executive board participation and see it all. It's easy to use, intuitive. So
Well, when we were in Austin for the CASBA, they did a breakfast for us, and they actually walked us through the whole new program. I've been very excited waiting for it to come. It's really cool.
Any additional conversation? Hearing none.
I need a motion to approve the Diligent Community Contract in the amount of $14,500.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Klingler, seconded by Ms. Lee. Roll call, please.
Mr. De Vera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
And
Nice
motion
job.
carries. And that'll bring us to the board superintendent communication expectations. Dr. Mendoza will go over it, but this is our annual review once again.
yeah, you have spent a lot of time on, I think a couple years ago, was it Ms. Negretti McGinley on the social media? You have the communication expectations here. I very much actually appreciate these. And not expecting approval this evening, but if there's any recommendations you have for changes, we certainly can make those. And then the intent would be to bring these forward to the next meeting for approval. These are extremely helpful, and I believe in the last 2 years I've shared these with maybe 10 other superintendents who've actually asked about governance and working positively with the school board. Obviously, we have the best one here, and the fact that you go through your trainings, but I think this is a huge piece of why we communicate so effectively. So,
And ISB has actually also used ours as a template with other districts. When in working in the Lake Division, they've used ours as kind of a model for other districts to look at as well. So kudos to everyone at the table.
I shared it. You talked about it in our national conferences as well.
All right, hearing no additional conversation in regards to that, we will then move on, and that'll come to our next meeting. We'll move to positive occurrences.
Okay, so my child graduated, and I feel like you can't really get more positive than that when you're on a school board. But I need to call out just a couple things. That kid that graduated is not the kid that's going to be the 4.0 student, or the kid that's going to, be the one up there getting all the accolades, but that is the kid that tried really hard and got encouragement from all the teachers and the admins. And sometimes I think those kids are a little bit overlooked just because, they're not the first ones that we see. But I love our district, and I love the way that we kind of support those kids, the quiet ones, the ones that are just doing their best. So I just, it was like I'm definitely on the dance floor right now, but it's a very personal thing to me. And I just want to publicly thank you guys for just the sheer amount of effort that goes into that. And just so you know that, it makes a huge difference in families and our community. And I just wanted to thank you guys all publicly.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of positive occurrences this last week. Obviously, the graduation is always exceptional to see all those students, pass into alumni. So congratulations to all the graduates at RLHS. And the middle school promotions as well. They'll now be here at the high school. And then, of course, congratulations to everyone. We'll have new baseball and softball fields.
And I'll just even piggyback on that. Again, the summer may be off for some people, but it's the heavy workload for a lot, especially in the operations side. You can drive by and you look at Murphy and they're already tearing it out, getting the elevator installed there. You're seeing that workload. There's going to be paving at certain locations around the district. We've got the other equal access projects going on this summer. I don't think there's a building that's not being touched in some way, shape, or form with something, whether it's an improvement, an upgrade, an enhancement, a regular just taking care of business and getting it back ready for August. And that's a testament to the hard work of everyone on the administration, the staff, the teachers, the operations team, because there is no off season. So definitely thank you for that, and thank you for all that hard work put in. And then also, I mean, we got, I think the athletic track is being refinished this summer as well, if I'm not mistaken. So the list goes on, and we kicked off summer camps today. Baseball was out there using the fields for a few last times. Wrestling got back into the wrestling room and the weight room. Football's out there. I saw the little football. The paint robot was out there painting away. So just the amount of things going on, it doesn't stop, and that's dedication and hard work from everybody sitting on that side of the table, as well as everybody out there that is doing the jobs. And thank you.
And I just want to highlight the adorable little boy that we just saw. Sorry. It's so cute. Just squish him.
Ditto to everybody.
All right, we'll move to any future agenda items. Yep. Hearing nothing on the future agenda items, then we will move to, I need a motion to convene in closed session as permitted by statute 5 ILCS 120/2 for the purpose of discussing the following. And bear with me. Closed meeting minutes 5 ILCS 120/2C21. Litigation 5 ILCS 120/2C9. Security matters 5 ILCS 120/2C8. Real estate matters 5 ILCS 120/2C5. Collective bargaining matters 5 ILCS 120/2C2. And employment matters 5 ILCS 120/2C1.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Klingler, seconded by Mr. Jewett. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tavera?
Yes.
Mrs. Negretti McGinley?
Yes.
Mr. Jewett?
Yes.
Mrs. Larson?
Yes.
Mr. Francisco?
Yes.
Miss Lee?
Yes.
Mrs. Klingler?
Yes.
And the motion carries. That will take us to closed session, and that will be all for the video part. We will not have anything when we come back out, so there will be no action afterwards. So that will convene the regular meeting for today, 6/2. Everyone have a great day, the rest of it, and thank you very much.